question how to handle an attorney general who you believe committed a crime.
It just isn't true.
Should he go to jail for it?
There's a process involved here, and as I said, I'll say it again, and how many other questions you may have, the committee will act upon how we will proceed.
That was Pelosi today saying Barr lied to Congress, but avoiding the question about actual jail time. And then there's the provocative take from my next guest, former Clinton Labor Secretary Robert Reich, who wrote before Barr's testimony that one remedy, if Barr does not cooperate with Democrats in Congress, could indeed be arresting him and putting him in jail. Robert Reich is joining me now, and thank you so much for being here, Robert. Very much appreciate it. You wrote that before Barr testified, obviously, yesterday. Has your view changed at all?
No, Jasmine. He refuses to testify before the House. Now, there is some negotiation going on. Maybe he will testify before the House. But there is an old precedent in this country under the Constitution of the United States, affirmed by the Supreme Court, that says that the House and the Senate, each chamber, has an inherent power to compel a witness to testify if that witness just refuses. And that includes arrest, and even includes jail. And we forget that because it's been such a long time. It's been 34 wow. since that happened. But it's there, and the Supreme Court has affirmed that authority. And the reason I put that out there is because, and that was even before Nancy Pelosi said what she said today, because we really have to think of this in terms of a constitutional crisis. If the president and the administration are stonewalling and they say there will be absolutely no information, no testimony, no report, no Mueller report that goes to the House, then the House is powerless unless the House takes some action.
It seems, though, I have to say, especially with the people that I've been speaking to, incredibly unrealistic to imagine the attorney general being put in handcuffs and behind bars. Here is what you wrote. The House can order its own sergeant at arms to arrest the offender, subject him to a trial before the full House, and if judged to be in contempt, jail that person until he actually appears. Do you think this is a realistic scenario or just a threat?
This is a realistic threat. But let me say why this is an important threat. Yeah. Otherwise, the Trump administration can just run out the clock. In other words, Congress could decide, the House could decide to hold a witness in contempt, which is criminal, and then it would just languish through the courts. And because the Justice Department really runs the show, it could take another year and a half, and then the clock runs out. The way to expedite this issue up to the Supreme Court and not let the Trump administration run the clock is to actually act on the constitutional authority that the House has. And that constitutional authority, as I said, enshrined in a Supreme Court case, I think it was called Journey versus McCracken, 1935. You go look back at it. It's very clear that the House could actually do that. But in so threatening, it would, and even if you had the Sergeant at Arms of the House go over to the Justice Department, I mean, I doubt that there would actually be such a clash, but you would have to get it would force the Trump administration to get an injunction in court, and that would be expedited, I expect, up to the Supreme Court.
You actually served in the Clinton administration. I want to take a listen to Lindsey Graham back in actually 1998, talking about presidents who defy subpoenas.
It's your job to tell us what we need. It is your job to comply with the things we need to provide oversight over you. The day Richard Nixon failed to answer that subpoena is the day that he was subject to impeachment because he took the power from Congress.
I'm going to bet Lindsey Graham has changed his tune today, which I think we full well know he has. But could the same actions apply now?
Of course, even Sam Ervin. You remember Senator Sam Ervin, the Watergate chairman of the Watergate Committee? He threatened, and very, very explicitly, anybody from the administration, including the president, that did not show up for a subpoena, they would be arrested. He was threatening arrest at that time, back in the early 70s, under Watergate. So this is not completely out of the question. And although Republicans like Lindsey Graham, will talk about it when their person is not actually their administration is not under the gun. This is something that is necessary to threaten, because otherwise, and this is the important point, otherwise there is no power in Congress, in the House or the Senate, each chamber separately, to oversee what the administration is doing. The Constitution makes these branches of government co-equal branches, and it's not co-equal if the president can just say, well, forget it. I'm going to order everybody to basically reject any subpoena, any request for information, and it doesn't matter if you hold anybody in contempt.
All right, Robert Reich, thank you so much.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.